Hey, LinkedIn, and welcome to Business Unusual. This is a live show where we talk about coronavirus and the ways it is impacting the ways we work and the way we live. I'm Susie Jackson. I'm a news editor at LinkedIn, coming to you live from my home in New York City. It is the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial kickoff to summer in the United States. Normally, after work on this day, I would be piling my family into a car and driving north to Massachusetts, where I grew up on Cape Cod. You can see a shot of it here. It is a seasonal beach community. It's a beautiful place. It's a special place to me. And much like other seasonal beach communities, it makes most of its money in the time between Memorial Day and Labor Day. It's a very short season, and it's a season this year that's quite uncertain. In all 50 states, restrictions have been eased around coronavirus, but it is up to states, cities, and towns to each figure out how to reopen themselves in a safe way. Some communities are receiving guidance, some are still waiting, even as summer is upon us. It's a really challenging time to try and plan. You want your customers to feel confident to come and visit you. You want to keep your staff safe. You want to keep the livelihood safe. You want to keep your business safe through this time. We're going to be talking to a panel of business owners in areas of the country that are heavily reliant on tourism today on the show. And I also want to hear from you. What are normally your summer plans? Have they changed? Do you think you'll be taking more local excursions, maybe just for a day or an afternoon even? Are you thinking that you're not even going to go anywhere? It's too uncertain. There's a lot of stories about strife over opening beaches to locals or to people coming in, and how do you make those decisions as a town? How do you enforce new rules? Do you think you might just be sprucing up your backyard or your outdoor space to try and make a staycation a little more viable? Or are you a business owner in one of these areas that is really dependent on tourism? Are you an employee of one of those businesses? What is that like right now? We're at the Friday of Memorial Day weekend. Summer is here. How are you feeling? How is business going? Talk to me in the comments. Talk to each other. We're going to get through as many questions and comments from you as we can today. And it's always really great to see you supporting one another. We see a lot of great community vibe in this. We see people sharing tips and strategies. So please have at it. Talk to us in those comments. And with that, I would love to bring on our panel of guests today. We have Diane Carr. She is the owner of The Hobnob. It's a boutique hotel in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. We have Matt Morsch, the CEO of the Morsch Hospitality Group, which oversees a group of wineries, distilleries, and breweries in Southwest Michigan. And Albert Garcia, who is the chair of the Wynwood Business Improvement District in Miami, Florida. Welcome, everyone. Happy summer. Happy Memorial Day.
Thanks. Same to you.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. Dan, I'd like to get started with you. You were on Martha's Vineyard. It is a beautiful island off the coast of Massachusetts. The year-round population, compared to where the population swells to in the summer, there's quite a difference. So much so that across the island, and I know the Hobnob is included in this, many businesses close up for the winter because there just isn't enough foot traffic there to sustain. So the summer is a really crucial time for businesses. I know that you, for instance, usually do a majority of your summer bookings by March. And that's, of course, when coronavirus really started to descend across the US. So I'm curious about, what do your bookings look like now? And what does that mean for your confidence in what the rest of the summer looks like?
Well, our bookings now are few and far between because of our state and the situation that we're in. We're in a phased rollout, much like the rest of the country is. And the lodging area is in phase 2. So phase 2 isn't until another 2 to 3 weeks from now. Typically on this weekend, we would be sold out. May is one of those months where a lot of folks love to come to the island because it's technically off season, if you will, until June starts. So when we have a year-round residency, 20,000
And it looks like we might have had a freeze up on Diane there for a minute, but that's okay. We're going to get back to her. I really want to hear about what life is like in the vineyard right now. Albert, can you hear me all right?
I hear you loud and clear, Susie.
Great. So I want to pose the next question to you then. Wynwood is one of the hottest destinations that there is in Miami. As the chair of the Business Improvement Association, I would love to hear from you about that neighborhood. What kind of businesses do you represent, and what are the feelings from those owners about whether or not to reopen, and what's their sense of that right now?
So Wynwood is a revitalized 50-city block community in Miami, Florida that was once an industrial hub for manufacturing in the late 1950s and 60s that over the last decade has reinvented itself as one of the largest homes to street art in the world. And with that has come a super large concentration of independent retailers, small boutiques, coffee houses, galleries. And these are all businesses, of course, that don't have the corporate parent backing that many other shopping centers and malls around the country might have to help them weather the storm. So we've been working with them for the last 8 weeks to make sure that they avail themselves of all the federal PPP funding and other grant and loan programs that are out there to keep them afloat. In the city of Miami, retail reopened earlier this week, and restaurants are slated to reopen next Wednesday. So we're optimistic that over the next couple of days and weeks, we'll start to regain a semblance of normalcy. But of course, like you see and hear everywhere else in the country, occupancy levels are, cut in half at 50%. And of course, we're hopeful that after June 1st, our beaches will reopen as well as our hotels to start bringing back our tourism economy one step at a time, of course.
Yeah, I think beaches are a real hotspot, clearly in the summer. Matt, I want to ask you quickly, alcohol sales are up in this crisis. It feels like globally, but I know that your business is more complex than just alcohol sales. You have a network of wineries, breweries, distilleries. You, as we can see here, have beautiful physical spaces. This is a gorgeous round barn. You have thousands of people gathered here. What is normally the balance like between your lines of business, and how has coronavirus really thrown a monkey wrench into that?
Well, our balance is normally, I would say, 70% retail in our own stores and restaurants, breweries, distilleries, and wineries. And we are currently closed doing only curbside. So it's been about an 80% loss in sales or greater. The only area that has been slightly up, as you stated, is in our wholesale industry, which it serves, the restaurants if they were open, and also grocery. So that area has been up some for us, and online has been very good for us so far. We've been offering really good deals though to keep people interested, free shipping and things like that, just to try to move things along and keep moving inventory. So there's no good answers of what's going to happen for us. We don't have any direction from the state of Michigan. We don't know when we can open again. So for us, we're just trying to keep servicing the guests we can by curbside and try to limp through this.
Yeah, it is a really uncertain time. If you're just joining us now, this is Business Unusual. It's a live show where we're talking about the ways coronavirus is impacting the way we work. We have a panel of business owners from seasonal communities who are heavily reliant on tourism dollars, tourism confidence to see their businesses through the year. Diane, you're on Martha's Vineyard. I'm glad to see you back. We had a little audio issue.
Sorry about that.
We had an audio issue before, but you were telling us that bookings are pretty non-existent right now, whereas normally you've booked up through most of the summer. Can you go ahead and finish your thoughts about what that means for your confidence for the rest of the season?
Sure. And again, it has to do with the state rollout and confusion on when our hotels will be able to be open. So we're anticipating now June 8th in a phase 2 rollout, which has prompted more phone calls, which is really quite good. I was at the hotel earlier today and yesterday, and the phone traffic is definitely picking up, and they're asking now, and more confident on the dates in July and August and through September, which are the, best months to be on Martha's Vineyard. So it is instilling a little bit more confidence that they have some sort of date as to when they can consider making their plans to come to Martha's Vineyard. And we have a lot of repeat guests. So they're anxious and they're willing to come, and they're willing to do whatever is going to be asked of them with masks and distancing, and they have confidence in our hotel that we're going to prepare it properly and they won't have to worry.
Yeah, that's great that the confidence is starting to bloom a little bit. I know that you convened a group of over 50 innkeepers across Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket and cited some figures from the local Chamber of Commerce saying that without this guidance, there was up to 3,000 jobs at risk. There was nearly $400 million in tourism money coming through at risk. So it's really good to see some green shoots here, that you have some kind of answer at least to give back to customers. Do you feel like you have enough to tell them to instill their confidence?
I do. I feel, without getting any particulars yet from the state, we are anticipating certain things, and we do know that the sub task force that was convened by the governor specifically on tourism is working very, very hard to get those guidelines to us as quickly as possible before that potential rollout date. So, we have an idea of what's going to be asked of us, and the task force was really concerned about our own local municipalities not layering on top of whatever the state brings to us. So that was our main concern, to say, please follow with whatever the state guidelines are and not impose any other restrictions on us as small businesses.
Yeah, and I want to welcome some people who are watching the stream right now. We have Matthew, who says he is an owner of a business in South Lake Tahoe, California. Welcome to Matthew. Aries says, hiking and nature trips will be my plans for the next few months. We have Eric saying, many of us fear just traveling to the local grocery store. The next few quarters for travel and tourism will be shaky at best. We have to establish trustworthy, research-backed hygiene and preventative protocols to regain the public trust. Matthew, I want to ask you a question. I know that already in the month of May, you are normally throwing events that draw thousands of people. You have trolley wine tours and tasting rooms and an artisan market, like really wonderful things that people want to come and see. What can still happen event-wise for your business over the summer? What's that impact going to be like on your bottom line?
Well, it's yet to be determined, but we're working very diligently with the state of Michigan, CDC, in getting our protocols in place so that guests feel comfortable coming back first and foremost, and making sure our staff is trained up. Additionally to that, we've developed some new trail systems that people, it's kind of a first to launch or to know about on the show right now. We haven't really been talking about it yet, but we've created 5 miles of trails that people will be able to social distance and walk through the vineyards and the woods and whatnot. We're also preparing our restaurants and trying to get it socially distanced and ready so that we can handle people that are coming in. As far as events, there'll still be events out there. We don't know how many people we can have yet, but the idea is to still offer, these artisan type shows and just a smaller pared down version of what we had been doing as well. In the interim, offering better customer service.
That's great. I know you have a lot of land to take advantage of, about 150 acres from what I understand. So it's nice that you can be a little more creative in that space. Albert, I want to ask you, Memorial Day weekend is usually so busy in Wynwood and in Miami that from what I understand, the locals just stay home. They don't want to deal with the traffic. But you are actively trying to seek them out, to get them to come out and pump some money into the economy. Can you talk to me about some of the strategies that you're using to try and instill confidence in them at a time where they're not normally even trying to go out?
Sure. So you've already heard on this show, and I'm sure throughout other reports, of all the various tactics and means that we're now focused on. Of course, we're hopeful that the domestic tourism economy will kick in to help alleviate some of the burden that's been now left behind by the travel restrictions that have kept all of our foreign and international tourists that we largely depend on. So for the next couple of days and weeks, we're focusing on support local campaigns. We're also working with our partners at the city and county levels to disable on-street parking spaces to have additional dining capacity for our restaurants, which are now curbed based on their indoor capacity constraints that have been set forth by the various emergency orders. So we're getting creative with our restaurant partners to give them more runway for their business growth, and also to provide one more option for locals who might be skeptical about going indoors where they might not feel safe, to give them an opportunity to still enjoy all the things that Wynwood has to offer outside in the sun and the warmth in the outdoors.
Yeah, safety and just instilling that feeling of confidence seems so crucial to all of these questions. And I'm so happy that you are sharing your experiences. I don't think anyone feels like they really know the exact playbook for this. And it's really great to hear what everyone's going through so we can all learn together. Albert, you just mentioned something about travel restrictions that made me think of Diane and a staffing concern that you have. I want to talk a little bit about that. So we're talking about getting the customers, the tourists to come back. And then once they're back, if they're back, how do your businesses respond to actually serve them safely? So Diane, I know that you have staff, again, we talked about the vineyard being kind of a sleepy place in the winter. You have staff that comes from overseas every year. You consider them family. Talk to me about whether or not you've been able to secure them coming back this summer.
Well, that's also been a difficult process because of the H-2B and J-1 student work visa programs, with not having enough visas and the rounds that you have to go through in order to get those workers. And we have to go through it every year. These are typically jobs that our own island residents won't take. They are jobs in housekeeping and other particular areas throughout the island that we can't fill. We're an island in the middle of the ocean, so it's also very difficult for people to get to the island to live. It's very expensive, so we have to go to those resources. And right now, we're not sure that they're going to be able to come. We don't have, the visas haven't been approved. The travel restrictions are in place. And right now they would have been here and planned to be here through the end of October. So that makes it difficult. We have to be very creative now on how we hire and who we get to fill the jobs that we would normally have for those visa workers.
So there's a lot of uncertainty for you about how, both in just the details of reopening safely and then how to provide that service. So we're really hopeful to you that you can sort those things out sooner than later to save yourself some stress. Matt, I want to talk to you about staffing too. I know that during the stay-at-home order, the business really took a hit. Talk to me about what you had to do with your staff and where that level is at and where you imagine it being as things start to reopen this summer.
Well, for us, we hadn't really hired for the summer quite yet, so that was slightly easier to not have to lay as many people off. We did initially lay more than half of our full-time employees off, unknowing that PPP would come out, which we were blessed enough to receive some of that funding and hire back most of our people. So for now, it's just kind of a waiting game. It's a hurry up, wait, scenario where we're ready to train, we're ready to provide safety, PPE for our guests and for our staff, and reassuring people that everything will be all right when we come back, and we're ready to have a good time this summer. We can't wait to drink some wine with our friends and family and invite everyone back out to the wineries.
That's amazing that you're going to provide PPE for your staff. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you came to that decision? How are you sourcing that? What do you think that they need that's going to keep them safe and keep your customers feeling safe around them as well?
So we've actually made our own sanitizer from our distillery. So we've been able to provide that to our friends, family, and some of our customers, along with some local community members. So we have that already set. We have masks on order. We're going to provide, they're called gaiters. It's kind of like what you wear fishing in Florida, kind of a face covering so that it's more breathable, because that's, obviously if you're working outside or in the summer or in the kitchen, it's going to be very hard to wear a mask constantly. So we're trying to make sure that they have the best quality and more sustainable too, where we're not just throwing things away, where we can hopefully re-sanitize them either with UV lights or just washing them. We've put all of our social distancing measures in place to try to spread staff out, working from home whenever possible, and just trying to keep everyone safe. It's a daunting challenge to reinvent your whole business in a month. So again, we're just excited for people to come back and hopefully a little bit of a glimmer of normalcy.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to pivot and start making hand sanitizer. We've seen some distilleries across the country doing that. It's a wonderful thing to do for the community and to just keep busy and feel like you're contributing to the solution, even when things are so up in the air. If you're just joining us now, this is Business Unusual. It's a live show where we talk about coronavirus and the ways it is impacting the way we work. We're talking with a great panel of business owners from across the country who run businesses in areas that are heavily reliant on tourism. And it being summer upon us now, we really need to see these businesses survive. Albert, I want to ask you, you faced a somewhat similar situation in 2016 with the outbreak of Zika and people being hesitant to travel to tropical areas. Can you tell me if you learned anything from that situation that's been helping your response to coronavirus?
Absolutely. I think that gave us a head start. Back in 2016, Wynwood had the misfortune of being the welcome mat for Zika in the continental United States. It was the first time that the CDC in the history of our country issued a travel advisory warning against traveling to a portion of our country. Now we hear about travel restrictions and social distancing and all these other terms, but back then this was new terrain both for local, state, and even federal officials. So the economic effects of that travel advisory were devastating, very similar to today. We basically came to a screeching halt. Although our businesses weren't asked to close, everybody just fled. You could find parking easily. Of course, nobody was coming in to shop, and that's why. And stores were open but empty. It took us about 10 weeks to reopen as an economy. And I think the resiliency that we saw then is what we hope to see now. All the protocols that we, after that, of course, very unfortunate incident put into place, led us quickly, as soon as the stay-at-home orders started to come in, to guide our businesses and give them some guidance as to when to expect to reopen and protocols they should expect so that they could make those pivots rapidly in a very cost-conscious way to optimize their first day open business strategies, which is now what we've seen throughout the neighborhood.
So certainly times of crisis are tough. Maybe a silver lining there is that some lessons hard learned in 2016 have helped you kind of be a step ahead on this one. In the stream, we have Sahil saying, Matt, he says, nice. He's really glad that you are using your facilities to make hand sanitizer. We have Brandon saying summer is not canceled in all caps. So Brandon might be someone that you're seeing in one of your businesses pop up throughout the summer. Lisa is in Atlanta saying that she's seeing people get out and about, but they seem to know about restrictions and activities that they can do that are going to make people safe. So that's good to know that there's some confidence blooming around the country. Nicole is talking about people who want to get out and have different experiences, even if they'll only be a short distance from home. I think that's interesting too. Matt, is that something that's helpful for your business? That you're somewhat of a local destination. You have many businesses across a couple of towns. Is that giving you some confidence that your summer's going to turn up?
Yeah, we're definitely confident people are ready to come back. I mean, just doing curbside, we're less than a tank full of gas away from Chicago, and people are driving out to get wine just to get out of the house because they miss us so much. So my confidence level for people returning is very high. It's just making sure that we can provide a safe manner, which we're working very hard on, and just getting open. For us, just sitting here is not conducive of running a business.
Yeah. And you all run your own businesses that you love and communities that you love. I'm interested, what is the thing that you're most excited about happening this summer? Things are uncertain, but something is going to happen. You're going to have some semblance of normal. Diane, let's start with you. What are you most looking forward to celebrating this summer?
Looking forward to celebrating those smiling faces that are going to walk through my front door and that are happy to be there. I think, as everyone said, I think there's a swell. People want to come. They want to get back to some sort of normalcy. And I am just very grateful and anxious to help them enjoy their summer the best way I can. And it'll look a little different, but it's still a beautiful place to come. And there's so much to do. And I'm just grateful to be able to do that again.
Albert, what about you?
I think for us in Wynwood, we're really excited about looking towards the future and all the innovation and reinvention that we know is taking place now, mostly out of a need for survival. But this is really when I think you start to see creative ideas come together rapidly that are, I think, going to set the tone to redefine the next generation. So I'm really hopeful for the future and really excited about all the innovative businesses, not just in Wynwood, but throughout the world that we're going to start to see over the next several months and years to come.
Yeah, a lot of innovation is often born in times of constraint. Matt, what about you? You said you're looking forward to having people come in and raise a glass. What's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to this summer?
Like Diane said too, just seeing the smiling faces back and having a good time again is what we're excited for. We have a couple new products that have come out even during COVID. A new beer actually releasing this weekend called Clouded Minds, a hazy IPA. Just watching guests enjoy some of these new products and some of our canned wine series. It's just it's enjoyable to watch them experience these new products for the first time and go back and tell their friends about it. So I miss that truly and can't wait to see people again.
That's great. We've got some other people in the stream seconding that they are ready for summer to start. Julie says the state of Iowa is open, so summer is on. Teresa says Burke, Virginia, summer is not canceled there. Jolene, though, is in Canada and says summer is still canceled there. So Jolene, I hope that changes for you soon in a very safe way. Mary is telling us she loves Martha's Vineyard. All of you, I'm so glad that you've joined us here. I want to do a lightning round for our last bit. You're small business owners, you're small business advisors in some cases. What is one piece of advice that you would give to other small business owners in seasonal places, in places that are dependent on tourism for this time? Memorial Day weekend's upon us. It's starting, whether or not you have the guidance. What is your piece of advice? Albert, let's start with you.
I think first and foremost, and I think you hear it all the time, and I hope it's not cliche, but we are in this together. And I think business owners should realize that and lean on their communities for support. We've never seen more collaboration in our 50 city block community in its history, where people are all coming together to troubleshoot, since they're all going through similar concerns and issues and obstacles. So while there's no one size fits all solution, I think what you're seeing is communities banding together to work together to survive, to innovate, and to attract new investment and tourism, of course. So I think that's the most important piece that we should remember, that we're not alone. This is not a single event that's unique to one community, one city, one region of the country.
Thank you. Matt, how about you? What's your piece of advice for other small business owners?
I would also agree with Albert that it's definitely about community. In addition to that, our local lender has been incredible, using a local credit union who had our back this whole time, working with us on PPP and SBA loans to keep us afloat, has been critical. Whereas if we were with a larger lending institution, I don't know if we would have had that support. So, keeping it local, like Albert said, and developing that community starts even at a local lender.
That's great. Community is so important. Diane, how about you? A piece of advice for small business owners.
Sure. I mean, out of this negativity has come and will come a lot more positivity. So I would say stay calm. This too shall pass. Use the resources that are around you. Talk to your other business owners in your community. On Martha's Vineyard, we have demonstrated that there is strength in numbers, and we're talking to each other in a way that we never did before. So use those resources, if you have them in your community, because there are a lot of heads put together works really well.
That's great. And I want to thank all of you. Diane Carr, owner of the Hobnob Boutique Resort on Martha's Vineyard. Matt Moore, CEO of Morse Hospitality Group, wineries, breweries, distilleries in Southwest Michigan. And Albert Garcia, chair of the Wynwood Business Improvement District in Miami, Florida. Thank you so much for joining us today and for helping our community navigate this summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
And thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of great comments and questions in the stream today. Let's end with Alfred, who says this weekend is all about disconnecting, turning off all mobile devices, staycations, and support local business. This has been Business Unusual. We are a live show, normally coming at you 5 days a week from the LinkedIn news page, but it's a holiday weekend. We are off on Monday. I hope we're all going to enjoy something fun and safe. I'm not going to Cape Cod like I normally would be. Haven't figured out how to do that safely yet. But please do join us on Tuesday when we will be talking about negotiation with an expert who is a law professor at Columbia University in New York City. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a great summer. Have a great long weekend.